The crypto rally is on, folks. No matter what Jim Cramer says, we ain't slowing down anytime soon. We're going to be discussing Bitcoin's push to 64K, a crazy day of volatility, beyond meat, all sorts of weird shit, much more today on Money Never Sleeps. Thank you for joining us today, everybody. As we get going, do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Nothing that we say is financial advice, so please do your own research before making any buys or sells. Don't FOMO in. Don't get shaken out by fear, blah, blah, blah. It's been a wild day so far. Woke up to Bitcoin at 59K, and I was like, all right, this is a great day. All of a sudden, it was just up-only season for a couple hours. Things came to a little bit of a halt, but we are still in a hell of a range right now. 61K Bitcoin. First time we've seen that number since November of 2021. Absolutely wild. Kevin's here to rain on my parade. That's okay. We're going to persevere and fight through. But Kev, how are you doing today? How is life treating you over there in bear territory?
I'm doing great, man. And don't worry, I rained on everyone's parade yesterday. I was the only bear on the show, so I just had full rain, just slinging shit the entire time. Gonna do the same today. It wouldn't be any different day if I didn't. But yeah, it's whatever. Whatever, man. Bitcoin. What has Bitcoin ever done for mankind?
For mankind. It doesn't. It's not a phone. You can't talk on it. It doesn't slice bread. Jesus Christ, Jim Cramer.
You can't eat it. It's not plant based.
Fucking
Jim Cramer will pump those little fake meat dick sausages to the moon, but God forbid. Like, here's the thing. If you used Jim Cramer as a barometer of when to buy and sell, you'd be doing great. Like a few months ago, back in January, he tweeted negative stuff. I just bought Bitcoin whenever he was tweeting negative stuff. And you know what? That's been a pretty good strategy over the last 35, 40 days. So that guy can go pound sand. Once again, just the best counter trade. Right when it peaked at 64K today was when he talked about like, well, people are going to be eating up an ETH ETF with how well the Bitcoin ETF is doing, and then boom, right back down. Jesus, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like right now, obviously the price. I was up when the price shot up to 60K this morning. I was texting House, and I was like, dude, you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be so mad because this makes no fucking sense whatsoever. And I was just looking at the price just shooting up. It's a straight missile up and down. But then we got some news last night too, before all this stuff came out, and I'm like, you know what? It makes perfect sense that they would rally this thing going into what comes in 7 days, right? And at 7 days, obviously, bank term funding program, the market doesn't have to actually tank in 7 days. But what I'm saying is this is your last hurrah. And I'm seeing it. And we went in depth yesterday about it on the charts of Bitcoin and how this is the most overbought it's been on the monthly. Same thing that we saw back in, I believe, April of 2021. Same thing in 2017, I believe. And every time that it gets this overbought on the monthly, it tends to have a retracement. And the other thing is, too, the volumes have been decreasing significantly. And I went on every single chart from the monthly to the 3-month, 6-month, 12-month, the daily, everything decreasing volume as the price is pushing up. So why are they pushing this up? That's the really important thing that we should be questioning here. I think a lot of people are getting really excited by the price. It's like it's flashing gold. It's like you're at the casino right now and you just hit fucking 777. And, how could you not be excited? But I think there's something bigger going on here right now. And very similar to a casino, instead of cashing out, I think a lot of people are using that money to play some more. And, sometimes you have to, count your blessings and know when to hold them, when to fold them. I don't know the fucking saying, but pretty much just step away from the table and, let things be. Right now, I don't think people are doing that one bit.
It's Kenny Rogers, man. When you got to know when to walk away and when to run. All right. And maybe now is when you walk away a little bit, or maybe now is when you just dead ass sprint away. Who the hell knows? Or do nothing, or do less.
That's my do nothing.
Just do less, right? Like people are trying to rationalize this move up. Hey, it's not a rational market. So like sometimes you just got to go with it. Don't play with leverage. Is my personal way of handling it. I'm not a leverage guy.
We
If
should
you
look at the
are,
leverage.
we'll take a look at it. If you are, Godspeed, good luck. Don't lose your house during this fucking market is all I can say. You know, this could be the beginning. Who knows, man? Who knows? Like, I'm just enjoying the ride. I've established my positions at lower prices that I feel good about that. I've been saying it for months that, like, if you can set yourself up in a win-win scenario and if you have a long enough time horizon where you can enjoy these pumps up, I'm just like having fun on Twitter right now. Like, you know, just bull posting for fun, while at the same time knowing, like, if volatility is ahead, I'll be okay. And if we do get that volatility down, I got cash on hand, thanks Nvidia, to buy more at more attractive prices. So, you know, try to put yourself in as many win-win situations as you can for the long run, and you're going to enjoy the good times and you're not going to really sweat the bad times, especially. And that's where I think, you know, I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but you can kind of see sentiment on the internet and on Twitter, and you see people like coming back to crypto Twitter, to talking about it, who've been away for a while. It's like, if you don't stick it out through some of these some of these bear markets, whether or not you believe that the bear market is over, you're not going to really get callous to it. And you're not going to get that experience of dealing with the volatility. So, like, running away when times get tough is the worst thing that you can do. So just kind of a little tangent there, but let's look at those funding rates for a bit, because I know that that's going to be driving a lot of movement, you know, in the days ahead. We had also a GDP data today that came in worse than expected. 3.2% GDP growth in Q4 was the second number, compared to 3.3 in the first reading. And then tomorrow we get a highly anticipated PCE report that many people are expecting to come in hot. If it doesn't, let's say, maybe this rally continues, but if it does come in worse than than people were predicting, maybe we see things head south for a little bit.
Yeah, it's really interesting when it comes to that. We'll talk about that more tomorrow, but it's kind of a fucked place, right? Because then a lot of people are going to be like, well, if inflation's coming back, then I don't want to be holding the US dollar necessarily. That's kind of the mindset people think. It's like, because, well, I want something that's going to grow against inflation, I might as well just stay in the equity market. The equity market's continuing to grow, right? So that's something that's going to be really interesting. And I think that kind of shows that people don't necessarily understand the monetary system. Been saying that all over Twitter. We'll continue to say that until people realize that the equity market has nothing to do with how money, debt, and everything works in a debt-based economy. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. But looking at the crypto funding rates right now, these are the current rates. We can see that Bitcoin is 0.09, 0.01 is neutral. Right down here, you can see Binance on BitMEX over here, 0.01, that would be neutral. Link over here on Bybit, 0.01, that's neutral, meaning that yes, longs are paying shorts. However, it's not an insane amount. However, where we are right now, take a look at this on Bitcoin, it's 0.0973. That's a lot. That's roughly 10 times what the fucking normal amount would be. So what does that tell you? It tells you a lot of people are going max long. A lot of people are buying into this euphoria. Here's the dangerous one. On the yearly, I'm going to click on this in a second, but the yearly annualized price for, Bitcoin or for funding rates should be 11%. Should be 11%, right? So it'll be 11. I'm not even doing decimals. It'll be 11. Let's click on it and see what it is. Look at that, 106.55501. Everyone's going max long. Yeah. So I mean, if you are short Bitcoin,
what could go wrong? Go max long. It can't go wrong. That's going to be our new slogan.
If you are max short on Bitcoin right now and you are on one of these exchanges and you haven't been liquidated, you are making bank on those funding rates. Probably not, but you're probably getting a couple good USDT per every 6-8 hours it is that they clear that out, especially on KuCoin. Used to make some good money on KuCoin just holding shorts while the market was being stupid bullish. Price didn't have to go that far, but pretty much what this is saying, that the futures price that people are anticipating is higher than what the actual spot price is, and either has to meet, or there's going to be a squeeze, or it's going to be an absolute dump, right? I'm more on the side that we're probably going to see a dump at some point. I'm not saying we're going to see a dump soon, but this is just absolutely unsustainable. Let's look at the 30-day. 30 days, 8.75, 7 days, 2%. 1 day is 0.29%. And then obviously we're at 9 here. across the board, it's all red. Funny thing is, the only thing that's green right now, other than the stupid Matic one on DYDX, is Binance across the board. Funny how things like that work, right? Let's look at liquidations. Liquidations in the past 24 hours, $700 million. Wow, that's a pretty big day, guys. $700 million worth of liquidations in the past 24 hours. 337 million on the long side, 362 million on the short side. Oh, it's getting tippy toppy there. It's going back and forth, getting everyone right at the end. I love it. I love to see it. And again, like you said, do less, just have some fun right now. If you, this is it's the tip of the beyond sausage. But
God.
that's why we got that, that really big wick, and then it just came right back down. But yeah, this is where we're sitting right now in this market. We can see then liquidations for Bitcoin on the 24-hour, 260 million. 85 of that has been longs. Shorts got wiped 175 million. Funny thing is, that's a lot of people that are just playing around with leverage, and we can take a look at the liquidation map as well across the board. Seems like for the 30-day, and this is the dangerous part, there's not a lot of money to be made up here. Like if we go up, say, to $72,000, $711 million worth of liquidation that you could squeeze. However, if we go down all the way to about $44,000, we're looking at $14.42 billion that we could absolutely wipe out. Right? Everyone's max long. Everyone's max long at the top. Your cab driver is saying, this is one of my last routes. I'm going all in on Bitcoin, and I'm never driving this cab again. Your barber's thinking about dropping out of I don't know what your barber's gonna drop out of. He's gonna close his business down and he's gonna buy Bitcoin. Seems like that's where we are right now. Everyone's fucking talking about Bitcoin. You love to see it. Jim Cramer's even capitulating now. He's like, well, I guess the ETH ETF is gonna be pretty big too, I guess. Guys, you got to think about this in a rational way. There's a lot more money down here than there is up here. Sure, you could push the price up, but they've been pushing the price up since January of 2023. You got your ETF. A lot of inflows are coming in. However, why are they coming in? You have to question yourself on that. I'm not going to feed you guys the answer, because at the end of the day, I don't necessarily want to say something that could be right, could be wrong. I think that there's a big chance that we're seeing the last final pump. And I said, I think it was, or we were going to say it at the show on Monday, but a blow off top to the point where it's like, hey, there's a good chance Bitcoin might not be here for another 2-3 years. It's something that's possible. You have to kind of admit, right? We're at a place where it's extremely high. We know that there's even bigger problems in the monetary system, not just in crypto. People that are in crypto are not looking at the bigger picture, and that's the one thing I kind of wanted to remove myself from. So yeah, I'm disillusioned with the price going up. I don't necessarily care that the price is going up. I'm okay with it because it's not where I'm going to buy. I'm looking at this as a part of crypto is moving with the equity market as the S&P and the Nasdaq have. It's kind of correlated. So if there is a big pullback in stocks, well, I guess they're probably going to do the same thing that the stock market would probably do, and all these hedge funds and these managers that were buying the ETFs probably going to dump. So that's just one thing that I'm kind of keeping in mind here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to continue if the equity markets, if the TradFi markets dump, I don't think Bitcoin is going to continue to rip up. Now, I do believe, and I firmly believe that there has been, because we knew that there was a lot of money sidelined last year. A lot of people missed out on the stock market rally. And I think this Bitcoin ETF was the answer for a lot of them. And we've seen the volume with the
buying
ETFs. Like, people are buying it. And so I disagree. So we can make a bet here. I think that we're going to see
too less, man.
But I think we're going to see a new Bitcoin all-time high within the next 12 months. Like, I don't think that's that's impossible at all. Like, I think that's coming
in the next month.
Yeah, it's possible in the next week at this rate.
It really is.
Like, so now, will it stay there for a long enough time to really to get an exit point? Who knows? Maybe it's just a quick wick, and then Coinbase crashes, which we'll talk about here in a second.
Let's talk about that now.
Yeah, right. But
bastards.
I don't know. I still do believe that there are enough people that wanted that exposure to the ETF, who want to have a crypto exposure in their retirement funds for the tax advantages. And so I think that there are. I know quite a few people.
I agree, but I 100% agree. I think it's just the implication of where we are in the macro economy. And again, fuck the macro traders. Look at Bitcoin's price. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Everyone who's been saying that on Twitter. But there is something deeply wrong right now. And we'll talk about it after Coinbase things, but I understand what you mean. I agree that people do want exposure to Bitcoin's price. I just don't think they understand what happens if they do have that exposure to their pensions and they're about to retire. That's what I'm kind of cringing at.
Well, and I don't. The thing is, I don't even know if it's going to be people who are close to retirement age who are doing it, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be people my age in their, late 30s, let's say early 30s or late 20s to mid 40s, who are going to be the people who are probably more likely to include crypto ETFs in their retirement plan. So I don't even know if you can use that point personally, but I get what you're saying. And there are, like, on the macro side, much bigger things going on that the euphoria isn't taking into account.
Definitely. And they will allocate. Like I saw someone saying something about Vanguard, like how dare they not let people gain 50% in their portfolios? Well, it's like anytime you have one of those fund managers, you're going to be upset if you're seeing something rally and your portfolio is not allocated to that. So you'll go to Fidelity, you go to one of these other ones, right? And it's kind of this hard problem where these managers have to kind of compete with one another. So they'll buy into the mania. That's why we were seeing back in December Nvidia rallying like crazy. It's like, well, if they're buying it, then I have to buy it too. I think Vanguard's actually helping a lot of people at this point. I think Vanguard's might be the smartest of them all, but we'll take a look at that in the weeks to come because obviously Fidelity is doing some crazy shit right now, cutting treasuries and going long on small caps. Is that going to be beneficial? Who knows? But I do want to pull up. Let's talk about the Coinbase stuff because that's very dangerous and kind of telling of what happens when something gets too big, more money, more problems. And we see these outages, right? I think it's really ridiculous to see that they had that much of an outage problem and to the point where people's accounts were saying zero. You can still see the portfolio like it was just the waveform of it just going up and up.
Yeah.
But it's funny that it just crashed, and we have to kind of question. It's like, is this no different than what happened with GameStop too, right? Everyone was buying GameStop like crazy, and again, what's the implication of them buying? Well, I mean, I think that benefits them if anything, right? They wouldn't turn off the buying option. I think more, if anything, the sell option for some people would probably be turned off so they can't escape. That's the more important thing here. I think that's what we'd have to see.
Yeah.
But we saw outages across
Yeah, like
Binance,
who actually
Kraken,
who had
Robinhood.
the opportunity to sell at 64K, not
I didn't
your
even see it.
retail investor. Yeah.
And again, why is it what do you call it, that much money dropping that quick? Well, it's because someone probably had a massive order at that point, right? It was just a limit order that was there. And then once it got there, it was like it's pretty much what happened. And it dropped from 60, like just south of 64K to like 58 or something like that. And now it's currently sitting around
Just over
60,000.
60.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting seeing that, but I don't think that is a good sign. I think it kind of shows you that there's a lot of money that definitely wants out. A lot of money benefited from this, and we were seeing a lot of Coinbase institutional, supply going to their wallets. So I think it was $400 billion or like 7,000 to 8,000 Bitcoin, a couple of transactions like that. They're benefiting from the price being up at this range. But I do want to bring up something that kind of goes in line with everything that's going on with a lot of these people buying Bitcoin at the top. And this is, again, something that people just aren't paying attention to. Yesterday, there was 14,329 job cuts announced. Big number, right? Last month, over 100,000. And this is all in the private economy, private sectors. Go down in the month of February so far from Macro Edge, a great site if you guys aren't following them, 67,000 job cuts in the month of February. So now we're starting to see all-time highs for some of these tech stocks, these tech companies, but they're also getting rid of people, right? It seems like there's a huge divergence there where if you have more money, you're able to hire more people. However, the outlook is still really off when we're looking at where they think they're going to be in a few months. So with this price shooting up as much as it is, and we know that that is going to be an issue moving forward, and I'm going to pull up something that happened in China last night in a second, we are looking at possibly the blow off top because a lot of these equity prices will not be here over the next year. I think that the bank term funding program is kind of I would say, I guess the signal to a lot of these institutions that, hey, guess what? You guys are going to have to start paying back debt. We're constricting credit to the point where we're not going to issue that much leverage. Whatever leverage you can take right now, take it because we're not issuing any more past this date where you have too much risk. And because of that, we're probably going to see equities pull back and we're probably going to see treasuries pretty much squeezed. That would be my assumption from what's going on here, especially when you're seeing all these layoffs, right? People aren't going to be, retail can pile in as much as they want, but it's not going to last forever. And that's a really dangerous thing to see. Now, if we go over to China, what's happening there, and again, a lot of people don't think this matters outside China, but Country Garden's liquidation petition adds to China's property woes. They defaulted, or I think it was they didn't pay. Yeah, they didn't pay $205 million loan. Now it's a $205 million loan in US dollars. May 17th is the court date for that now. They're looking to liquidate, pay some of their creditors. This is no different than what just happened with Evergrande. The funny thing is, who has exposure to Country Garden now? It's Dear BlackRock's. BlackRock actually does have a lot of exposure to both Evergrande and Country Garden. They also have exposure. HSBC has exposure. Deutsche Bank has exposure to Country Garden. A lot of these large investment banks that have exposure. And we talked about yesterday a little bit about CLOs, which is a collateralized loan obligation. And very similar to a CDO, it is pretty much a pool of a security backed by a pool of debt. And the funniest thing about it is,
God, what could go wrong there?
Bank of America, JP Morgan, and Citibank all have it on their books. It's the funniest part about it is it's not necessarily something you want to hold on your balance sheet if there is going to be some type of pullback in the market. And this right here with Country Garden just shows you that the problems in China are far from over. Numero, what is this? Get this ad out of here. Thank you. But yeah, the liquidation thing is just bringing more fire sales that we're probably going to see across the commercial real estate market. And all of the tools of derivatives that a lot of these investment banks have on a lot of this debt are probably going to go bust. And that's a very dangerous thing to see. So now with Country Garden, Bank Term Funding Program, Evergrande, we also saw, I believe, a Canadian pension sold a New York building for $1 yesterday to get it off their balance sheet. Guys, it makes sense why everything fucking is rallying right now, right here. It sounds like a 90s song. Right here, right now. There was a song, wasn't it?
Yep.
But it's this is where we are right now, and it's really easy to get caught up in the euphoria, right? I can't remember who I was texting. I was like, it's really bullish. It's really easy to be bullish up here at the top, but it's also really stupid to be bearish here at the top, right? It's also logical to be bullish here at the top. It's like, what do you fucking do? Well, everyone's just FOMOing in. They're just buying in. Why? They don't understand. They're not looking at the technicals. They're not looking at the monetary system, calling bullshit on a lot of the stuff that's going to be coming due in the next few weeks. I said that the market top would be here within the next 25 days. I said that, I think, the last show that you and I were on. Let's take a look at the equity market, what it's doing right now. I'm not saying that the top is nearing. Again, I could be dead wrong. I'm very open to being wrong. I've been wrong quite a few times in the year of 2023. But again, I've never told you to short anything that I wouldn't short myself. And again, nothing I say is financial advice one bit. However, you are kind of tapering here and you're going sideways, right? You're starting to see a lot of the money that was in the equity market kind of flow out of it, go into maybe crypto. But the other thing is, too, if we look at some of these tech stocks, I mean, NVIDIA is down 5 points today. I mean, $5, it's nothing, right? Apple, it's teetering on the 200 EMA. That's questionable whether that was, planned or not. Google, 137 below the 50 moving average. Meta, come on, Meta, internet. It's putting a bull flag up here at the top. Volumes are coming down as the price is moving up. We have a lot of things that are just very much so telling us that might not be as rosy as it seems. Then the other thing too, this is really funny. Across the board, we're seeing the VIX being crushed nonstop. However, it cannot go below this white parallel trend line here. Every time it gets down there, it bounces off and then pushes back up. We've seen it multiple times. Just keeps putting in a higher high and a higher low. I'm very interested to see where this ends up in March. Maybe not necessarily the first half of March, but maybe the second half of March. I think a lot of things are going to definitely start getting really complicated in both in equities and also in crypto. But we're just going to have to be patient these next few days. I mean, there's 7 trading days left until the Bank Term Funding Program comes up, and I think that's going to be the signal. Very similar to how when Powell removed the reverse repo back in 2020 for right before the pandemic crash. It's a good chance that could have been the signal as well. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. That's I know I talked a lot and I kind of went off tangent there, but I think that's where we are right now with a lot of this euphoria. We have to look beyond what the price action is doing and think long-term about what's going on here. Because when I look at this Bitcoin chart and you look at some of these other ones, Bitcoin just above 60,000 right now. Guys, tell me this makes a lot of sense that in 3 days,
See,
just shut up
now
that
you're
much.
trying to rationalize it, and we talked about that.
Yeah, but I think you can kind of rationalize this because at the same time, when we get off
An
top,
absolute piss missile.
I mean, it's insane. Like again, we're right back to where we were in 2021, and the question is this going to hold? Don't try and fight it either way. Don't try and short it. Don't try and buy it. That's my personal philosophy on it. Kind of just let it play out, and I think you're going to get your direction in the market sooner than later. Bitcoin is exploding. Yes, thank you for being here, Scott and Stocks. I hope your first solar trade went well. But yeah, that's all I got on Bitcoin for right now.
All right, that's all I have as well. Anything else before we wrap up today?
Let's take a look at Beyond Meat.
Oh yeah, we'll wrap with
Or wrap with the sausage.
God,
Look at this. So what was the
shit
numbers?
chart. Just zooming out. What an absolute piece of shit. That company is trash.
Yeah, no one fucking eats that shit. I mean, like I said, it looks like I don't know what it looks like, but
Disgusting
we all know
like,
what it looks like.
Ugh.
It just how do you this is where, and again, this is the other thing you kind of have to have in mind too. And you're saying don't rationalize it. I'm going to try and rationalize this here. Beyond Meat is a company that's been losing money for fucking ever. And the reason that they shot up is because they lost more money than they expected. So they beat their own expectations of how much they fucking lost. And the stock shot up 80% straight up. If these are not the squeezes that show us that we need liquidity in every aspect and we're just trying to absolutely take everything we can out of this market, I don't know what is. Stocks are going to rally like crazy forever. When you're kind of in these mania phases. Oh man, I'm sorry to see that. I'm sorry, buddy. Damn, it sucks. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense a lot of the time. Carvana, all these companies that are doing extremely terrible, doing extremely well. It's like a fucked up type of science, right? Do bad in real life and then just do extremely well in the stock market. Everything evens out. You even actually make profit that way. But yeah, we're in a really funny place in this market. And I don't necessarily see this being any type of sustainability. It happens that the fourth killed me. Sometimes you got to pay to learn. Oh man, yeah. And again, that's why I say I'm not doing anything. I'm doing less here, man. I bought my contracts. I'm waiting for this shit to just kind of play out. The monetary system's the answer. That's all I'll say. That's how I'll finish up with today.
Listen, we're heading into March, so for me that means college basketball season is ramping up, and so
March
it's very
Madness.
easy for me to do less in the financial markets when sports season is in full gear. So that's my do less strategy right now. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up for today. Appreciate everybody for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss the latest going on in the markets, the PCE data that will come out bright and early, how that is going to move prices. So stay tuned. Appreciate everybody for joining us. Randy, Chris, Scotch and Stocks. If you guys haven't yet, hit that like button. I know you have. Subscribe to the channel. Drop some comments. Share us out. It's all greatly appreciated. Stay safe out there, everybody. We will see you next time.
7 days, trading days. Later.